Okay, let's see here. Got some stuff here. Let's go. I gotta get myself so I can see everything. Get some light going. Just getting set up. Okay, it's loading. Using my old workbench computer to monitor the stream. Okay. All right, let's see how much lag we got going here. Is it playing for me? Yes, there it goes. Okay, I'm there. Okay, welcome back, everybody. And so I was at my local game store and I was picking up some games for the ColecoVision. I was looking for some at least because I got some new. Matter of fact, I'll share that too. So this came in the mail today, and I got a whole bunch of them. This is not the only one. This is just one of them because I'm not going to drag them all over here. But I've been collecting these. These are reproduction ColecoVision boxes, but they're not reproduction like the originals. They're nicer. So here's the box. This is a Parker Brothers version. Magnetic, flips open, and you put your game in there. Well, today I realized I didn't have the 4 of the games. So I've been buying these boxes as they come out. And 4 of the games that I have bought these boxes for, I don't actually have the game. One of them is a Coleco version of Frogger. I also don't seem to have Victory, although I thought I did. And Mr. Dew's Castle and Star Wars, the arcade game. So I got to find those, preferably not on eBay. But yeah, so these boxes came. And so that's why I went to the game store. So while I was there, the owner said to me, "Hey, you want some broken controllers?" And I said, of course, I said yes. So here is a box full of broken controllers. I don't know what's in here. I do know there's a Power Glove sensor bar in here, which is great because I actually damaged my Power Glove sensor bar. One of the is it ultrasonic transducers? Is that they're called? They're little speakers, ultrasonic speakers. When I was like a teenager, I damaged it, so it doesn't work quite right anymore. So this can at least be a donor for a new transducer. But let's go through what we got here. So we've got what looks like a PS1 controller, and this doesn't work. It says test the D-pad. So we'll go through that. I'm not going to actually test all these out. I don't see. And we got some NES controllers in here. And, they're kind of dirty, but not terrible. Let's just take a quick look. Okay. The actual controller part looks pretty neat, decent. Just needs to be cleaned. And the plug looks good. So that's one. I should be doing this while I'm doing it. Just to keep things neater. You get some of these Velcro straps here. And just tie them up so they don't become a huge mess. I use those over like using rubber bands or twist ties or zip ties because they actually will start to react to the plastic. And I don't know if these will or will not, but I think they're less likely. All right, so here's another NES controller. Okay. So we'll just take this and we'll put a tie on this one. All right. I'm not going to be super duper careful doing this. I'm just going to wrap it on real quickly. Oh, and can you even hear me through this mic? Surely hope you can. I should probably test that through you're going to hear an echo if I do that, though. But let's give it a try. Let's see. This keyboard, I hold the function key and that to make the volume go up. Oh, I probably have the sound off. I should just hit the. Got muted here. I'm not hearing anything at all. I should use my phone and check. Okay. Hey, Dean. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. All right, good. You can hear me. Dean. I don't know if you can hear me. All right, good. We got a sound. All right. Cool. Oops. Have that there too. Okay, so far we've got two NES controllers, a PS1 controller. We've got a Super Nintendo controller here. It says bad star button. It's a little mangled. This will clean up nicely though. Okay. Got another Super Nintendo controller here. Replace button pads, and I'm sure it probably does need a replacement. It's a good thing I got a whole stack of these. You guys aren't even seeing this, are you? Okay. We got a Genesis controller here. And what it says all buttons aren't working. Okay. Let's see. Where's this one made? Okay. This is the worst one you can have. This is the Taiwan one. So this is like one of the launch Genesis controllers. If you had a made in Japan or a made in China one, it's actually better. The made in Japan is the best, but this is the made in Taiwan. It's just like the one I had when I got my Genesis on launch day. Okay, and let's take a look at this one. We got another Genesis controller here. No note on it. Made in Taiwan. It's another made in Taiwan. Well, that sucks. Well, it's not. It's free. What do I care? All right. Yeah, free is a great price, isn't it? Okay, here's something kind of cool. Looks like a Famicom controller, but it's made by Performance. Wow, there's some. The screws go in different depths on the back here. This screw is higher than that one, and it's designed that way, the way it looks. This feels really stiff and terrible. But, anything made by Performance is pretty garbagey. Yeah, and the membrane's messed up and ripped off. Okay. We've got an Xbox, original Xbox, very dirty. Analog sticks messed up. Oh, it's a small. Actually, it's a smaller version of the Xbox controller. The S. It's not the Duke. We got another S here. This is the Halo one, which is kind of cool. So, and it's missing the other half of the cord, which, or is it? Yeah. These are both missing the ends. Okay, well, it's fine. I have the ends. We've got a very yellowed Super Nintendo controller. Let's see. We've got another yellow Super Nintendo controller where the wires are exposed. And, of course, here's the Power Glove sensor, which hopefully this works. I think it's just because it's missing the Power Glove. So, yeah, I will use this. I'll give it a try. I'm not going to do that in this video, though. This is just, hey, what did I get kind of video, not a, hey, I'm going to fix all this crap. We got an NES controller here. Looks pretty decent. You've got a Super Pad. Clean D-pad, it says. This was by Interact. And you know what? It's funny. It's got the same raised screw, but the back is different. That sure looks very similar, doesn't it? I don't know if, Interact and Performance, and I always thought that they were like possibly the same company. Performance, Pelican, Interact, Power A. Here's another Super Nintendo controller. This one looks pretty decent. Okay. And the last thing is another Super Nintendo controller in here. So that's everything. Let's do at least a little bit here And we're going to take these and at least straighten the cords up. And they kind of feel disgusting. I'm going to do something here at least. I'm going to grab this cloth right here, and I'm just going to put some rubbing alcohol on it. It's just to clean them off. I'm not going to do the whole super clean thing. Even if I got all this junk, I don't think it's actually, most of this stuff is not junk. I think most of it's fixable. And I could use some more Super Nintendo controllers for stuff I'm doing. So, well, that's good. So we're just going to do a quick wipe down of these. Nothing, just to make them less disgusting. Okay. I'm just going to take this cord. Yeah, these need to be cleaned though. Like cleaned with PlexiClean and then treated with some whatever that stuff is. 404, 303. Yeah, this stuff people rave about, and use some PlexiClean too, but I'm not doing that right now. Let's just get these wrapped up. So if I'm really doing this, I'd have two straps around them and like that. So the cord never is squished together. And then I put them in a plastic bag to this NES controller. This is kind of got a fun beige patina to it. Kind of like this yellowing. It kind of looks classy. Okay, let's take this rubber band off. See, wrapping it like this, you see what the rubber band did to the cord? Somebody's probably sitting like this for a couple years, minimally. It's been in the back room of a game store. Okay. I think the best thing I got out of this whole thing is the Power Glove, at least for me, the Power Glove part, because it's useful. Super Nintendo controllers. I don't know, is the Halo version of the Xbox controller rare? I don't know. The NES controller there. Okay. Taking out Super Nintendo controller. Funny thing is, you get a controller, whether it works or not, going through all this stuff and just doing this stuff, which is nothing, takes a long time, you know? Okay. Because I think, genuine Super Nintendo controllers, I think I only have 4, maybe 5. Maybe I have 6. I don't know. I don't have that many, so I'll fix these up. Make them look nice. What are you guys making for dinner tonight? Oh, yeah, the Tighe's hands. I'm going to be making some chicken wings and some steak on the grill. Yeah, so Dean, he had a lot of games there in that bin. A lot of dupes, lots of combats, lots of Space Invaders, lots of Pac-Man games. But in that Atari lot, there's a whole bunch of rarer Atari games. Ones I think that I should have taken pictures of them all. I was busy. I had to go somewhere and do something else. So I didn't take that long. I just looked to see if there were any Coleco games. There's only one Coleco game in that box. It was a Donkey Kong Jr. I did grab a couple other things there, though, that I paid for. I guess I should show that, too. Okay. Damn. Lots of cords. Just getting too old for this, I think. It's funny. I noticed that this controller has the same damage that one of my Super Nintendo controllers has. There's a little bit of a chip right there in the sticker. This one's disgusting. This is really gross. All these are going to get disassembled, soaked, probably in some peroxide water. Peroxide water. This is peroxide. Get cleaned up and put back together again with new membranes. So glad I bought so many membranes. This Xbox one is gross. Okay, last official in the Super Nintendo. No. Damn, I actually got quite a few, didn't I? Oh, yeah, I forget. Yeah, D, next time I go in there, I'll see if I get some pictures of them. Sorry. 10 p.m. Yeah, it's 5 o'clock here. Should be making dinner. I should get started making dinner right now. Okay, clean the cord. Yeah, what's cool about Super Nintendo controllers, you actually can unplug the cord from the controller on most of them. They actually have a connector, which is nice. It means you could take a cord from one that's got a good cord, that's got a bad controller, and swap it with one that's got a bad cord. Pretty easily. No soldering involved. Soldering. The town is soldered. Okay. And last Super Nintendo one. That's genuine. And then the cord, well, I should do the back a little bit more. Just so they don't feel disgusting. Kind of feeling that most of these aren't actually broken. I think he just didn't want to deal with them. And that's partly because the game store in town really has switched over to more focus on Magic the Gathering, Warhammer, other card games, board games, things like that. And I just think that's kind of like probably the best way for him to go, just because video games are going digital. So having actual physical things to sell is kind of good. Although who knows how long that'll last. But yeah. It's funny thing is people seem to like the rainbow color buttons on the Famicom controller, and I guess the European ones have the rainbow colors. I actually like the Super Nintendo controller buttons better for a couple reasons. There's one, you got a tactile difference. You've got a concave button and a convex button here, so it kind of like just better for orientation. I like that, and it's also just kind of classier. It doesn't look as like a Skittles controller. But I guess do this NES one first, actually. Then we're done with all the official Nintendo controllers. My new D-pads, Dean. Well, the D-pads that I've made are for the Super Nintendo controller. I should probably grab one to show you. But yeah, I've got two different versions of it that I've made. One that allows you to put... Well, I'll go grab them. So I'll show you these new controllers. I mean, they're not new, they're old controllers. So here's like a knockoff. This is like probably the worst Super Nintendo knockoff controller I've ever seen. But I've put one of those D-pads on it. You see here, kind of looks like a standard D-pad when it's like this, except for it's got that hole in it. And then you put this little face on there and it snaps in place, and it just kind of elevates the controller, gives you a little bit more leverage than you would normally have. This controller sucks though. Not because of the D-pad though, just because it's some crappy Chinese thing. Okay, where did I put my cord wrapper? There they are. So I was just trying it in a cheap controller to see if it worked and if it was an improvement. And it still is an improvement, but it's an improvement over garbage. So there's that. That off to the side because that's different. So here's a standard Super Nintendo controller that I've put this D-pad in. This is 3D printed, and that stays in there really good. You have to like pull on it quite a bit, and yeah, this works really well. It just allows you to have more. Like on a Super Nintendo controller, it's kind of difficult to press a diagonal because of the spacing of the actual contacts, which are pretty far out, versus like a Nintendo controller. A diagonal directional is actually easier on an NES controller because the contacts are closer together. They're actually centered on over the cardinal directions, where they're kind of a little bit offset outwardly. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And so the pressing of a diagonal is more difficult. I wouldn't say it's impossible, certainly not impossible, but it's definitely, there's a bias between pressing, straight up, left, right, up, or down, or pressing a diagonal. And it's harder to press a diagonal. Not a lot harder, but so that was the idea of this. This is just allows you to press that diagonal, give you that clearance there. So this one requires no parts other than just 3D printing. You can print the part for it. So that's that one. And then the last revision, which came out really good. This is allows you to put a Saturn D-pad on a Super Nintendo. So here's a Saturn D-pad out of the Saturn controller. The Saturn actuator is in there as well. And then this part snaps into the Super Nintendo controller and adapts it to hold the Saturn actuator. And this works awesome. This makes the Super Nintendo controller like 1 trillion times better than it was originally. It's just that I think the hardest part is just getting a good print, which I've got that down. I do my layer height as low as my print will go, which is 0.05 millimeters layer height. And yeah, this comes out really nice. It's actually made out of two pieces. Well, 2 pieces plus from pins that go in it. They're locating pins that hold it in place. So yeah, this works awesome. and I love this controller. So, yeah, which I will be sharing the design once I feel like it's like actually worth sharing, and I've done good documentation how to print it the right way. Because I think that's the biggest issue here is if someone takes this design and just prints it default printer settings, it's just going to be a blob. It's not. You're not going to be able to do anything with it. It's going to look terrible. It's not going to fit in, and it really is. You have to have your printer settings set specifically for very low layer height, and if your printer doesn't support it, then I wouldn't even bother. So that's why I haven't published that yet. Okay, so there's this one. Okay, I cleaned this one, right? I'll just wipe it off again. And this one's been cleaned. Okay, and so is this one. Well, I'm just going to give another wipe because somehow this one slipped in there. Okay, let's do this one. Okay. I'm tired of this already. To be honest with you. Just want to get through this as fast as possible. Okay. Okay. So this one. Really funny how they did do the colors. It's a North American controller, and they did it in this color set. Because I knew it because I had Electronic Gaming Monthly, but most, I don't think most Americans knew that the Japanese and European controllers were different colors. So if you really want to, do it the right way, there's a little hole that you slide it through and you put it on the end of the wire, and then you have it always attached. I guess I'll show it on one of these. Okay, this is really disgusting. I should do this one last. It's really gross. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Sony controllers either, because they're the worst at pressing diagonals. And man, that is some stiffness. I mean, I know this is a dirty old controller, but I do not like Sony D-pads. I know why they are the way they are, because of Nintendo's patent, but they're pretty terrible. And that's why I use the Logitech version of the PlayStation and PS2 controllers, because they're almost like a Saturn controller. They're really nice. Okay, so I'll show you how I do this normally with these straps. Wipe that off too. Okay, so I take one of these. I pull out the little nub there. I take it like this. You could choose which color you want facing out. In this case, I have these in black too. These are the gray and black ones. I'm going to do the gray because it matches the controller better. So you just kind of take this, bounce like that. So when you're using it, it just kind of dangles like this. And then when you're done, you could take your controller wire, spin it around. Or whatever, I'm not going to worry about it because it'll move. So just wrap it around your hand loosely, unlike some people. Okay. So now you just take it and you wrap it around just one side. And then if you're really smart, you put it in a Ziploc bag like that. This is got so much memory to it. It's kind of gonna stay kind of messed up a little bit. Okay, so I guess I'll do the Genesis controllers next. Man, that sounds rattly. Okay. You know, personally, I think this is probably the worst controller, the Taiwanese one. And, you know, people who love Genesis controllers, they don't have this version. And, yeah, if you never use one of these, you don't know how bad it is. I mean, it's not like a 5200 controller, but I would say of this era, you know, late 80s, early 90s controllers, this is the worst. You know, I went from this to the arcade stick pretty quickly when I got my Genesis, because really this control, I mean, it wasn't like super, you didn't need it like to press diagonal so much, you know, back in the day when you're playing like Golden Axe or Altered Beast. But I still did not really care for this controller. I mean, I didn't think it was, I think my opinion has gotten much lower of it, you know, now than it was back then. It was like, this controller is not great, but I don't even know if I wanted a better controller. That's basically what it boiled down to. I don't think I was like, this thing's terrible. This cord is really short. What's up with that? It's funny, people say Nintendo and Super Nintendo controllers were short. They have 8-foot cords on them. This feels like a 6-foot. Oh, yeah, it's a real short cord. I guess for the last thing we'll do today is I'll show you the games I picked up. It's just 2. Okay. So we'll do the cool Halo colored one. Keep dropping that. I already have a few of these, so I don't think it's particularly rare, but it is a very nice, it's a fun color. I like this color. It'd be cool to have an Xbox this color. Got 2, neither of them are this color. Okay. There's that one. And now for the ultra disgusting controller. Yeah. All right, I think that part's clean enough. Now, Xbox controllers are like 30 feet long. This is even the full length of the controller because it doesn't have the pull away end. Okay. All right. the last one. I am glad to be done with that. Although, still got a lot to do on those, but I could do that 3 years from now if I want. Okay, that's all those controls. Let me go grab what I picked up today. Okay, so here's what I got today. His bags are disintegrating. They're biodegradable bags, so they just kind of fall apart. So here, it's a box copy, a 7800 version of Galaga, which I already have the game, but did not have it in the box. It's not the greatest box, but, you know, still wanted it. Where's the... Here it is. This Miss Pac-Man is not in the best shape, and the label came off as I picked it up. But that was in that box of games, and I actually did not have Ms. Pac-Man for the 2600, if you can believe that. Let me see here, just lightly wipe that. Okay, and then we'll lightly rub that. Maybe we can reactivate the glue like this. Kind of doubt it. Let's re-glue it back on, but let's just see what happens when I do this. Yeah, it's not going to stick. Yeah, so played this game plenty. I just didn't have a copy of it myself, so it's way better than Pac-Man on the 2600. So yeah, that's it. That's everything I got today, and I paid very little for it. Yes, so Ms. Pac-Man was $3.99 and the Galgo was $11.99, and yeah, and I just kind of wrecked the receipt there a little bit with the alcohol, but that was it. That's what I got today, and I guess I'll end this stream now unless somebody has anything to say. I don't think anybody's really watching now. Anybody watch? We got 5 people watching. How about that? All right, guys. So I'm going to end this now, and have a nice evening. I'm going to have a good evening myself. Bye.